Now imagine you know all this in great detail, what power that gives you. Form is information. Change the information, you change the form if you can get the original form to decode that information. In other words, you transmit it on the right frequency. So what we're doing is decoding information into this reality. This reality is a shared reality, but it's a decoded reality. And it's operating in our heads, decoding information. And how we decode it depends upon our perceptions of reality. So this Matrix scene is absolutely spot on. This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, taste, and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. Now, this is an example of how information is carried by everything and how we impact upon information as we interact with this virtual reality universe. Dr. Emoto, the great man from Japan, who I co-wrote a book with in Japanese some years ago, because what he did was he took water, put it into little containers, and he would apply to that water sounds or words, and then he would freeze it very quickly. I've been to his place in Tokyo where he did it, and then he would photograph the water crystals in that water, and the difference in the crystals corresponding with what the water came into contact with is absolutely fantastic. This water had love and thanks written on the side of it. Beautiful, geometrically beautiful, harmony, natural order. This had hate, I want to kill you on it. Look at it. And people say, well, how does that work when you put words on water and that happens? Simple. The words written are merely the holographic expression of waveform information. So those words are vibrating to a certain frequency. We see them holographically, but they're vibrating to a certain frequency. And that frequency impacts itself upon the water, and when you freeze it and photograph it, you see the impact. I'm speaking now. People think I'm speaking words. I'm not really speaking words. I am creating information fields with my vocal cords, and between me and you, there is no words. The words only come when you decode the information field that I'm sending out, and vice versa when you speak to me, when anyone speaks to anybody. It's all frequency. And so, love and appreciation. You make me sick, I want to kill you. Heavy metal music. This is why this can have a massively detrimental impact on people, because we are energy fields. Let's look at the auric field, it's photographable. This is polluted river water. Look at it. Because water in its base form is an waveform information field, like everything else. This is the impact that we're having on reality all the time while we think we are powerless. Pollution at its base waveform is just a distorted energetic information field which distorts that which it comes into contact with, which manifests in the hologram as toxic water and toxic waste. Same with the stuff in sweets and bloody soda things that children eat on a massive scale. Of course it's going to destabilize them mentally and emotionally, because it's distorted information which distorts the workings of the brain. Who creates the universe that we see? We do. And thus, if we change our perceptions, we can change what we decode into a reality, and we can change society. We're not going to do it by stockpiling weapons. We're not even going to do it by mass protests. We're going to be doing it by creating a different reality, by coming from a different perception of what reality is.
The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically, and it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology has long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can externally influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna.
The sad reality is that where we now play our music is in A440. Where did that come from? It used to be 417. A440 came in with the Roman Catholic Church. They suppressed the frequencies. They lost somehow the 152 of the best Gregorian chants, including the hymn to St. John the Baptist, which we've now recovered. That particular hymn was what triggered Dr. Palaio's investigation, looking for those frequencies of vibration by which the music was played. It was known as the most uplifting hymn of all the ages, the most spiritually uplifting hymn. Hymn to St. John the Baptist. It was played to 6 tones. These are those 6 tones. These are those 6 frequencies. And so the A440 is what now is the standard tuning. If you go A439, you're closer to one of the Creator's tones. If you go A441, you're closer to one of the Creator's original tones. That's how precisely it has been manipulated. To do what? To shut down the 95% of your brain, particularly the right brain that operates the heart-mind to the divine human community.
Some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh God, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
When you go driving your car and your channel on the radio is tuned to a station and you're grooving to the music, you love that music. As you get farther and farther away from the broadcasting tower, that music gets static. You start to lose the signal from the clear channel, broadcast, and it gets staticky. When it gets staticky, you get a little annoyed. But you want to listen to it. You really have a heart for that music, so you continue to listen to it for another 10, 15 miles, and suddenly it becomes so annoying that you just get disgusted. You go, ah, and you shut it off. And if you continue to listen to it, you get sick. That's what we're talking about here. Except you don't even know that you've been listening to the static your whole life. You don't even know what the true resonant frequency is because it has been kept.
Now, of course, to really be effective, we need to use the proper words and phrases, scientifically selected. But that gives you the basic idea. We embed messages just below the threshold of perception, so they can go directly into the subconscious.
They can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing, and it starts to have an effect, and it starts to build rage, it starts to build anger, and people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event. Maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit, and now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper's been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do.
So in other words, the master composer, master conductor of the Universal Orchestra is singing love songs in 5/8, uplifting everything simultaneously. And we're the only species out of tune and accepting static for the clear channel.
Do you know that the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy that basically breaks the enemy's spirit, so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with.